Welcome back, friends, to Occultists Anonymous and our generic game overlay. What that means, you'll have to find out after we thank our subscribers, followers, sharers, and patrons. Thank you to Adele, Alice, Aiden, Al, Alexander, Alsred, Bernie, Buck, Chris, Doc, Emil, Ethan, Jeff, George, I'm the Real 06, James, Camo, Cat Feathers, Klaus, Live Love Lesbian, Milo V3, Moku, Mozart D Minor, Nick, Other Guy, Perry, Foog, Polka Dot Hubris, Porter, Puppeteer, Riafio, Sean, Xara, Starfish, Terran, Terry D, the Bastigos Queen, Thomas, Verhex, Vincent, Vortex, Falcon, and Zoltan. I'm seeing the two of them dancing out of the corner of my eye. It is very distracting.
Bars.
Spitting them names, listen to that flow, y'all.
So yes, thank you to y'all. And now I'm going to shut up and let Chris talk.
Yeah, shut up, Drew. I don't want to hear from you anymore because I'm in charge.
This weird sense of deja vu.
Yeah, we've definitely didn't say all this before and then realized we were muted and stopped midway through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is funnier the second time. So, what are we doing here tonight? We are doing some collaborative gameplay. We are taking a look, sort of a first look, first exposure. There's other 4 people have not looked at this at all, pretty much. I have done a run through over on the Mage the Awakening community Discord of a first look at this game, which is in playtest phase by some friends and associates of our Discord and the Mage the Awakening Discord, who have formed a publishing group called the Stolen Library. Drew has some actual names, but I guess I do too. So the Stolen Library that has developed this game consisted of Axel J, Arthur Mason, Elements Kimie, and Nicholas Vincentin, who are around, especially Axel, the possum lord himself. This is a very cool game that they sort of took a lot of their feelings about Mage and a lot of their feelings about community and working together and mysticism and making the world a better place, and smushed that into the shape of a Forged in the Dark game, which they have called Witchlake. So if you're watching this, you maybe have watched our Blades in the Dark playthrough. You maybe have watched our Girl by Moonlight playthrough. So some of these system-specific stuff.
Remind me, Chris, who ran those games?
I did.
Yeah.
I previously was the game master. I think game master is the term, both of those things. But if we were to play this game, and for tonight only, I am going to be your head witch.
Yo!
That's so cute.
Call me the head witch the way I...
This is a family show. No, it's not.
So I'm going to run through and just explain a little bit about the game, give some themes and stuff like that. And then we're going to sort of do a what would be a session 0 if we were going to be actually playing this game, because the game has an element of sort of a setting creation mini game being a core part of the session 0 experience. So I'm just going to talk about the game for a little bit, and then we'll dive in. So if you're reading this book, if you're reading this playtest document, if you're reading this book when it eventually is a book, you are a witch. Congratulations.
Yay.
Or at least you'd like to play one, which is why you've opened this book. Witchlake is a flexible game intended to encourage creativity in all its players. You'll build your own setting and characters and follow them as they pursue their own grand goal of becoming who they want to be and overcoming the darkness of their past. However, the intended style of the game is light and cheerful in tone. While there may be moments of sadness and struggle, because where's the drama without it? The point is to tell stories where optimism and hope are rewarded. That sounds like my shit.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Right.
Hopeful gaming. I'm done with darkness.
Or you're done with not overcoming it
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah. Fair.
bathing in it.
To be fair, the like existential magical threat in this is called the darkness. So, but
Not done
luckily, I believe in a thing called love.
Yes. Oh, great fun, great musical pun. I fucking love it. Play the song right now, Drew.
I don't think we have the rights to that.
Immediate copyright.
All right.
So, to talk about the setting and that we're going to make, we need to understand what a couple things are in this game, right? Because we all have different ideas, probably, of what a witch is, what magic is, that sort of thing. But for the purposes of this game, magic is real and it exists just past the edge of what is supposed to be. Witchlake is a game about magic, not about throwing fireballs or raising the dead or flying on broomsticks. But yes, it is about all those. It's about what makes all of that possible, what makes that valuable. It's about freedom and agency and the power to believe that something else is possible. There's nothing that throwing a fireball can do. This is one of my favorite paragraphs in the entire book, and it's like right up front, and it just sets the whole tone. All of these people are wonderful writers. There's nothing that throwing a fireball can do that a propane tank, rubber hose, lighter, and 10 inadvisable minutes browsing YouTube cannot. But do either one, and the world changes. You change, parentheses, and not just because of the missing eyebrows. You're no longer the same person who didn't know how to make a flamethrower in a garage with spit and gumption and a reckless disregard for your own safety.
I'm in love.
You're now a pyromancer.
Yes.
And then what is a witch? When you think of the word witch, you probably have a mental image of a woman of a certain age in a tall, pointy hat, stirring a cauldron, which is not exactly wrong. Such a person may very well be the witch. However, that's only an aesthetic. Witches come in all forms, shapes, and sizes. This is said multiple times. I want to be very clear. This game says fuck turfs, fuck bigots, get the fuck out.
I don't know. Is that on brand with us? I don't know.
I don't know. Have we ever said those things before? Couple times. So there's a couple things that define a witch. The 3 C's, if you will. A witch is clever. A witch is curious. And a witch is changing. And a witch is not several things as well. A witch is not just someone who does magic. Because magic is power. Magic is agency. Magic is a secret waiting to be known. It's so many things, but it's not a moral force. There are plenty of characters and creatures out there that have the means of producing magic, but are not witches. The people to whom learning is a dull and studious affair. The defining trait of a witch's magic is that they are, or the defining trait of a witch is not that they do magic. A witch is not a monster. Not all witches are good people, but they are not bad people because they are witches. And a witch is not bound to any one group. Again, they come in all shapes and sizes. I said this already. This is a direct quote. I said this already, but it bears emphasizing. Anyone can be a witch. Yes, even you. Age, sex, gender, ethnicity, or cultural group do not matter to whether someone is a witch or not. Anyone who ticks the 3 boxes above the 3 C's qualifies regardless of other qualities. And those who don't believe this, well, they probably don't meet the qualifications. So the next bit of all this playtest is all about the system of running a Forge in the Dark game. There's a cycle of play that is similar to a lot of others. You've got your dice that add up and into a pool, and you roll them, and you're looking for 6s or at least 4s and 5s so that you can get away with what you want without the head witch punishing you too much for your wonderful choices you've made. Let's see. The actions, I will say, in this game, they have taken a very interesting approach. In that they are not verbs that you do in this game; they are nouns that you be.
Oh,
okay.
cool.
And so the list of actions is forceful, inspiring, faith, evasive, cunning, inquisitive, perceptive, and intuitive.
And they have a lovely
And
little bit of imagery in here for it too. I love it.
Neat.
It is sort of designed into a wheel using the 4 suits of tarot cards.
Let me try something here. Editor Drew, put it up now.
And so you see on your screen that there is sort of a wheel that's got wand and sword and cup and coin. And the actions go around the wheel such that each suit has its own unique action and then 2 that border with the others. And this comes into play when you like make the character and everything, of sort of the way in which you approach actions will feed into those suits and sort of the themes behind them, and also some of the like consequences. When you'll end up taking shock to a suit, which puts you at a greater disadvantage doing any of the actions in that thing, stuff like that. So it's very cool. They've done some great things. I was reading it the first time and I said, these are not verbs.
What's happening here? What's happening here?
And then I remembered something that someone told me one time, that is the list of skills or the list of actions in a game, when you read them, tell you what the game is about.
Yeah.
So when you read D&D and you have attacks and you have investigation and you have arcana checks and stuff like that, that is what the game is about.
Yeah.
When you read Blades in the Dark and you've got, hunt and sneak and all the verbs there, that's what the game's about. It's about characters that do these things. And so when I got to here and it's like, they're not verbs. What do these characters do? And I was like, no, this is things that your witches are going to be. They're going to be perceptive. They're going to be forceful. They're going to have faith. They're going to be evasive. And it just genuinely like dumbfounded me for a few minutes when I was going through this and like sort of live reacting over in the Mage the Discord.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You said widgets are changing over time, in the present.
Yeah.
As they're choosing to respond to the circumstances that confront them. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So there's a lot of more system detail stuff that I would sort of get into as we did more fleshing character stuff out off screen, and then like running it, do it on screen and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's some core parts of characters that are very interesting that they've designed. There are charms and gear instead of your sort of like, your gear and Blades in the Dark where you've got weapons and stuff. There'll be just various different charms that you might have, little things that you've created or enchanted or whatever as a witch. And they work as essentially a special armor from other games where you can, once per cycle, you can tick off a charm to automatically resist a consequence that fits into. So if you have a little enchanted umbrella that you've made, and then you have run into a consequence that an umbrella could protect you from, you just sort of pop that up and sort of expend it for the cycle. Which I thought was really cool. And it's so freeform to just come up with that. And then as you play the game longer, you end up with more charm slots, or you might take an ability that lets you have another charm, and it has to be tied in directly to one of the setting elements, which is very cool. There's a lot of things they've done to just sort of tie setting and creativity and characters together.
That's the part I like so much about Fate, and that there's so much
Mhm.
player agency and
Mhm.
taking advantage of the selling elements that a GM has provided to use it to influence your character mechanically and narratively. So this whole notion of a charm, it also calls to mind those cool scenes when someone had like, well, Dresden Files, for example. Not to say that's the best example of all the kind of gaming we want to do, but just, shield bracelets and stuff like that burning hot
Yep.
and then it exploding, right? And other media, other fiction, there, other examples. But I just like the idea. So
Speaking of Fate, you're gonna love this next bit.
Ooh.
Jinx is the other thing that I really love. From how the character creation comes together into actual gameplay and stuff. So every witch has a jinx, which is almost like a virtue and a vice.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And so every witch has a jinx, and it's something that's like the core of you. It's like the way that your magic and your witchery like compels you forward into getting into mischief and doing magic and everything like that. So you might be bold, where you run where angels fear to tread. Maybe it's because you live for the thrill, maybe you need to prove something, or maybe you're just naturally fearless. Whatever the case, you delight in taking the most direct, straightforward path to your goals, usually in the loudest way possible. It can be frustrating to others how often you end up looking good doing it too. Doubly so when your recklessness blows back on them instead of you. There's some other good examples there. But the core mechanic of this is that this sort of poison promise thing here is that the head witch can tug on your heartstrings,
yes,
and invoke your jinx. Much like in Fate aspects. Yes.
Invoke the trouble. Yes. And you get Fate points. Yes. Oh, I love it so much. Oh, yes. And then I imagine you can create opportunities to encourage the head witch to do that to you. Oh, yes. You can play into. Oh, yes. I'm so excited.
It sounds like so much fun.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Wait for the next category here.
Yeah. So mechanically, your head witch can tug on your heartstrings and give you a choice. You can either follow your heart and do what they ask, or modify your behavior in the scene in a way, or you can suppress your nature, which makes you take an abrasion, which is this system's form of stress. So like denying who you are in a sort of like existential level causes stress.
Yes.
And the other thing is that when you max out on your abrasions, when you go into like what we would call Eclipse from Girl by Moonlight, you go into hijinks.
Yes.
Hijinks is the sort of way that you get into your eclipse. You're stressed out and you have nothing left to you except this core part of you.
Hijinks. Yes.
Oh, I see. It's Jinx, Jinks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. There's some editing.
Like a curse.
There's some editing things that are in the playbooks. People use them interchangeably. So it is still playtest. I said in my sort of review rundown is that I do like it spelled Jinks.
Yeah.
Better. It looks better on your in a visual format.
I love it.
So yeah,
I love going to Eclipse.
Yeah.
Not trying to interrupt you. I'm just, I love going to Eclipse and I love Trouble and Fate. So this is great. Want to emphasize my already conspicuous enthusiasm for this particular element.
Yeah. So basically when you're in hijinks, you can't resist having your heartstrings tugged.
Cool.
Essentially.
Yeah. Great.
But the benefit is that you can use all your abilities without taking abrasions, without taking stress.
Can you start there? Can you start there? Can you just play there all the
time? That would be a nightmare.
Not for me. Not for me.
I didn't mean for you.
Just everybody else. Where'd Ralph go? Wherever his heart takes him.
Yes. I already want to play characters like that constantly. Reward me, please.
The other cool thing is that this is, serious credit about a bunch of little things that Stolen Library has done in this game is that for me, they have filled in a lot of my question mark here be dragons parts of Forged in the Dark games that I just sort of do intuitively, but it's nice to see some actual rules and stuff like that. And so there are guidelines on how to do flashbacks in this. And specifically, there are thematic actions or sets of actions that that you can do as a flashback based on your playbook.
Cool.
That makes
That's
sense.
I like that. That's really cool.
Which is, again, like an intuitive thing of like your character would do types of actions based on your playbook and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to end up doing those to be true to your character. But it was cool to see like lists of them. So yeah, I'm definitely skipping through fast and loose here.
I'm not reading anything. I'm listening to you. Keeping it real fun.
So some of the parts that you do as part of series creation is to make up the coven before you make any characters.
Oh, great. You love it.
Because as much as anyone is the main character of Witchlake, the coven itself is the main character. The witches who compose it came together because they had something in common, a desire to shape who they were and become something new. As witches, they support and care about one another and help each other in their mutual ambition to grow. If they didn't, why would they agree to work together? When creating your witches, you should also decide what the coven is after. Ultimate goals of the coven might sound relatively simply, like win the respect of our families. But the means to achieve it aren't, and else they wouldn't be there. The coven will arrive in the lake, capital L.
Yes, there is a lake.
With a grand goal, but no resources and only a vague idea of how to achieve it. So it's got some lists of some sample coven goals you might have, like find the last lost pirate treasure, win the tournament of witches, rescue grandma from the underworld.
Ooh, I love it. Yes.
Or undo our bargain with the big nasty. Oh, also topple the corrupt municipal government.
That's great.
Yep.
That's very humorous writing too, because these all the preceding four, right, are clearly mystical in some way, right? It's just
I read them out of order, but
you did. Okay, gotcha. Fair enough. Never mind.
That was maybe my comedy chops.
That's good. Pretty good. Yeah.
So a quick run through of some of the playbooks. I won't like read everything, but
go right ahead. Totally.
There's some really good design space in here. So the doppelganger is the first one up. They're mercurial. They struggle with who their true self is. And what if all you're doing is trying on bits and pieces of other people's faces and pretending they're your own? How can you ever know anything you do is genuine because you want it? Is genuinely because you want it. For the doppelganger, the ultimate social chameleon, all this is true, and they've learned to work it to their advantage. Maybe if they try enough faces, they can find one that feels real.
Ooh, cool.
And yeah, they get to like literally just like borrow someone's face, and as part of that, they can switch the values of two of their action categories.
Oh yes.
And so you could be like, well, I'm going to move my 3 dots in perceive over to force because now I'm big and strong for today. And it's very cool. They have done a great job in all of these playbooks of the classic like Powered by the Apocalypse and Fortune of Dark thing of having really great like references and comedy names and stuff like that, comedic names for some of the abilities. The next so my experience of reading these through was the doppelganger. Yeah, that's cool. Sounds like something like maybe Drew would play.
Oh no. Oh no, I'm a little bit farther down.
You literally played a doppelganger in a D&D game you played, so
yeah, that's true.
And then I get to the next one, and it's the giant. The giant is forceful. They are known by their endurance, their hunger, their stature. They loom over others and fill every room they walk into with their presence. But is it enough? Can they eat more than a fire? Can they wrestle old age and win? Giants are stereotyped as brutes for being willing to put their bodies on the line, but none can doubt their audacity or ambition. And I was like, okay, thank you. You've written this for me. I appreciate it. I do not need to read any others. I mean, you've got an ability. Your first ability is called audacity. I mean, just, come on.
Great. I love that it's also made very clear, especially in the context of the game prior to reading it, right? That the name giant doesn't necessarily mean massive physical size.
Right.
It's so
correct.
And how the playbook is described as well is inviting that more holistic appreciation.
I really like the ability here called 9 steps. You don't go down easy on a failure. When resisting a physical consequence, you can immediately roll an extra dice that counts towards your roll. And if you roll a success, it's actually a critical instead of whatever it was before.
You thought I was down.
You thought I was failing, but actually. Next up is Ash's playbook.
That's what I just saw.
The Mothman. Yeah, Mothman is curious. They move in the shadows, but are drawn endlessly towards light. This curiosity is so potent that sometimes things that want to be known are drawn to them instead of the other way around. This makes the Mothman sometimes come across as spooky, as they know things they aren't supposed to. And yeah, you get straight up, you just make prophecies. You can take an abrasion and declare whether something will end well or badly. And then when a result happens, you can just shift it up or down in results, which is like some interesting. Yeah. Or if you are like having some interpersonal drama with a member of your coven, you could just put it down.
Yeah.
It's like actually fail.
This is good.
Yeah, Mothman's very good. Just
of note though,
doing all sorts of dire prophecy and stuff.
They can only do that to people making rolls, which means you can't ever do it directly to the bad guy.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Because it's Forged in the Dark. The bad guy never rolls.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
it's always on.
Yep.
Yeah. Actions that you as a group are doing, that someone actively as a witch is doing.
What are avatars?
Avatars are part of these setting elements, where like on the little playtest doc that I linked, the Google doc that we've got, we're going to type on in a second.
Yeah.
The Crow-Kissed Woods is an example. And so it's like a spooky woods full of crows that steal things. And so an avatar of the Crow-Kissed Woods might be like the one crow that flies over and talks to you.
That's great.
They're like more active versions of what can be rather passive setting elements. And then the darkness itself will actually have avatars as well, where like they're trying to do bad things in the world and you have to stop them. Yeah, so Mothman, I just from the name I was like, oh, this is Ash's book. Next up is the Salamander. The Salamander is fearless. Perhaps it's a curse or a blessing, but the Salamander has the uncanny ability to survive just about anything. Throw them in the fire and they'll just leap right out again, cool as can be. That doesn't mean they don't get burned, usually quite the opposite. And yeah, this one is great too. And I was like, wait, hold on. How am I supposed to?
I have to choose.
The great part of character creation is that you have a free slot for abilities. And you can take one ability from any other playbook.
Oh, that's like nice. The veteran ability, but you can just get it immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool to kind of think
customize.
Through. Yeah. Next up is the Evoker. They are impetuous. Having realized that the shortest path between them and their goals is a straight line. Oh, this is Drew's. I was reading it. I was like, wait, hold on. Different context of a different game we played together. This is sort of Nova.
Yep.
So yeah, having realized the shortest path between them and their goals is a straight line, the evoker is determined to level everything between them and it with all of the subtlety of a charging bull. Naturally, this can make the evoker a little unpopular with all the china shops between them and their destination. But it's undeniable that the evoker makes life more interesting, sometimes as a firework, sometimes as a house fire.
Yeah.
And yeah, they get to like pick a style.
Nasty summoning.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the evoker solves their problems in the most direct way possible. That this tends to create other problems, usually cooler, sexier problems, is of little concern for them.
Yes.
When creating your evoker, choose the type of magic from the examples below. Hydromancy, MMA, parentheses, mystic martial arts. Hello.
There we go.
Nasty summoning. Pyromancy, storm witchery, and telekinesis. And I was reading this and I was like, look, I already picked 2 playbooks already. You can't make me do a third by describing 3 of my mage characters. Yep.
Hey, witches. It's time to cast.
Nuclear option.
Nasty witch. Cast,
yeah, one of the abilities is called nuclear option.
That's great.
Yeah, basically when you would be like removed from the adventure from like maxed out stress, passing out unconscious sort of thing, you just get a free tier 3 spell, which magic is very powerful in this game.
That's fantastic.
And very dangerous, which is cool. The next playbook is the seer. They're perceptive. They see what others miss. This ability makes seers exceptionally insightful, though there's no trick to it. They just know what they're looking for. Seers often end up natural advisors and leaders, respected and followed for their insight, but their uncanny perception only makes their blind spots all the more visible to others.
Wonderful.
The shaman is trustworthy. They make promises and work to keep them, neither a talent nor a skill. This is a reputation they work very hard to maintain. Shamans often end up as natural mediators and diplomats, approached for their ability to understand the wants and needs of others, but it often leaves them feeling guilty when prioritizing their own needs over another's. This is the one that I thought of Craig when I was reading it. I was like, this just seems very like, I'm going to bridge, like, I feel like every character I've seen Craig play is like, I'm going to bridge 2 worlds and I'm going to figure out what those 2 worlds are, and then we're going to
they score to destroy each other, but I'm sure I could find a common ground.
We're going to get there. Don't you worry.
That's great.
Yeah, and they like get to like call in favors on setting elements and stuff like that they work to help, and it's very cool.
For the trees.
Oh yes, he's the Lorax.
Yep. The trickster is daring. It is not enough to fool just anyone. They pit their skills against the sharpest, the meanest, and the most challenging, and the most deserving of marks, becoming an embodiment of audacious justice. Tricksters know. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
We all hear it. Tricksters know that to make light of something is to blunt its teeth, be it the dragon, a bigot, or the darkness itself.
Yeah. I've been sitting here. I was like, I know where Ralph's sitting at.
Yep. Straight up. I love that each of you
knew
had reactions. Everybody's got a type, and we've all played together long enough to know what those types are.
That's right.
It's good to be able to recognize those. Yeah, the core ability for the trickster is called Got Your Nose, and it's just like,
oh my gosh, really? Oh yes. Oh, I was already thinking about making a stage magician for just hijinks. It's so
Monarch
good.
Yes.
Prank Monarch is the one, man.
You get an extra downtime action.
Read the first sentence. There
is no end of japes that you get up to. You gain an extra downtime action, which may only be used on an action related to a setting element you interacted with during mischief. If a clock of the element you chose filled during that phase, any clock you tick with your action gains an extra tick. Basically, you just keep doing shit. Yeah, you're just everywhere.
Has any of the Stone Library, they interacted with me directly? I'm not familiar with the names. I mean, did they understand my personality, or is this just some wonderful coincidence?
I've heard little bits and pieces of who wrote which playbooks, but I don't remember the trickster.
Oh, I love this. Let's you and them fight. Sometimes it's fun to throw a pie and then hide.
Mhm.
Oh, so good.
Also,
Yes.
like the Pagliacci is one of the abilities.
I like that one a lot. The
you
you
can
can
cure,
always make them happy.
cure everyone's sadness but your own.
Ah,
And they
yeah.
take on their
there we go.
heartache,
Ooh.
Right.
transferring it from them to yourself.
Mhm.
Mm.
So magic systems, I won't go into full detail, but I'd like the separation of effects here between spells and rituals, and there are distinct systems, and
Very
there's like
cool.
comparative scale of effect in that your in the moment spells are never going to match up to the things that you do ritually, and rituals are like downtime actions that you have to like build up clocks for, and call upon setting elements and end up with some truly crazy stuff.
Wait, can I just chime in real quick?
Mhm.
I want to share some enthusiasm. Please read Impulsive Purity. I want to make sure that I'm not just imagining what that says, because I'm excited about the possibility that it means what I think it means.
Yes, you get benefits for doing exactly what you want to do normally, Ralph. Yes.
Please wishes.
You truly can't help yourself, but at least you've gotten good at making your disasters a spectacle. You gain plus effect, i.e., your actions are more effective when the head witch tugs your heartstrings, but resisting costs an additional abrasion.
Yes, I was already going to let you do it.
Yep. Throw gasoline on the fire. Yep.
Mike Ralph would resist anyway, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, it's so good. I'm rewarded. I'm so happy.
So I might just read a couple of your like example spells from one from each tier or so. So a tier 1 spell lets you accomplish things that you'd otherwise be able to do in an action. You call upon the watching crows to spy on someone with perceptive instead of needing to use evasive to sneak after them. Tier 2 spells get you something that might take 3 to 5 other actions to do yourself. They also, you take dice penalties the higher your magic you're trying to roll, which is very cool. And you tick on setting elements, which we'll get to in a little bit. But example of a tier 2 spell is you beat a hymn on an anvil to the steel works, raising a great barricade to your hideout in moments.
Songbird, what?
Oh, cool.
Sorry, what?
Yep.
Yep. And then tier 3 spells are something grand, wondrous, and probably inadvisable. They can accomplish something that might be difficult even for a dedicated team or even impossible, filling an 8-segment clock in a single action. You share a smirk with the concealing mists and turn invisible, walking right through the brightly lit compound of goblins without being seen. Or you pour out libations in honor of the open road, letting you and your fellow witches teleport to your destination in an instant, bypassing the difficult journey. And then rituals, that's where the big stuff comes in. They always require a clock of up to 8 segments for tier 3.
Oh, wow.
And tier 1 rituals give the witch minor control of the narrative. You can fill a wand with the Black Knight's doom so that their armor cannot halt your spells.
Oh, cool.
Tier 2 rituals change the direction of the narrative, letting witch decide the outcome of an ongoing conflict. Fulfilling an ancient prophecy read in stars, you make yourself queen of the werewolves.
Yes.
And then tier 3 rituals can alter, add, or remove elements of the setting entirely, allowing the witch to completely change the direction of the story or its dynamics. They always require consent of people at the table, so you can't just be a dickhead, but also don't be a dickhead. Communing with the storm on the mountaintop, you calm its fury, changing the element into the clear sky. Excuse me?
Yep.
This is... Why would you ever? I don't want to fix her.
Be.
I could make her worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Think in terms of negative space. The setting element you're going to remove is the absence of storm everywhere else.
There's a section on all sorts of things that you might use as like ritual ingredients, including age appropriate and totally legal substances.
I love that.
Dusty grimoire, ley lines, a ritual focus, sacrifice, special ingredients, sympathetic magic, or the stars are right. There's all kinds of stuff about enchantment where you can like make other gear and stuff. And then we get to the lake. And this is what I wanted to do. We'll just maybe create a couple examples of like we were, kind of doing a session 0 here.
Yes.
So the lake is all the world's a stage, or so the saying goes. But what's a stage without sets, props, actors? Your characters do not exist in a blank void, acting on empty aether. They are surrounded by people and places that act to support, meddle with, inspire, compete with, or even oppose them. Part of the fun of Witchlake is creating and building the stage your characters will play upon, cooperating to build a world and set the tone and atmosphere of your game. So this is obviously not a game with a predetermined setting.
No, that's awesome.
Do any sort of thing. You can sort of create the like Witchlake is valid to be played in a like classic high fantasy D&D type setting.
Yeah.
It's also cool to do like girls at summer camp becoming witches. It's also fine to do, something in space in a sci-fi setting. Like
high tech is listed
witches.
right there.
What's up?
High tech is listed as one of the vibes.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I was getting to that. So step 1 for creating Lake.
Gentrifying is a vibe.
You gotta pick the vibes.
A great one.
Pick the vibes. Start by deciding the general vibe of your lake. As a group, pick 2 definite adjectives to describe the overall region. There's some examples here, like rural, dry, swampy, mountainous, impoverished, educated, isolated, crowded, gentrifying. So let's just do somebody throw out a couple vibes.
Buggy and high tech.
I'm playing Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Or we're playing Children of Ruin or Children of Time.
Yeah.
Or just high tech and everything doesn't work.
Listen, Saltists are pedipalps, and so they can cast magic. Or yes, everything
You
doesn't
can
work.
you can be snake persons, so
Yes,
you could be a spider person.
There we go.
I like high tech.
Yeah, high tech's good.
suggestion. And then somebody else want to say something?
How about rainy?
Rainy.
Yeah, that's great.
So Shadowrun.
So Cyberpunk,
yeah.
Let's do it.
Dude, I'm on board. Give me my trench coat.
Yes.
So the next step is the vast majority of this, which is creating setting elements. Elements are fit into one of 4 categories. They're either the land, the people, the places, or the weirdness. And they have 3 parts. They have a name, a description, and then 2 clocks of sort of how they interact with the world as you get up to mischief or cast spells and stuff like that. The example here, there's actually a ton of examples in the PDF of the playtest. Some of the best writing of the playtest is these setting elements, and this was where I had some fun on the Mage the Awakening Discord of some people taking guesses of like who wrote what and stuff like that. It was very fun.
That's fantastic.
But the one I sort of copied over as an example is the crow-kissed woods. The cackle of a coven of curious crows is always audible somewhere in these foggy woods. The eerie quiet of the forest makes certain sounds more noticeable. With your senses so alert, it feels like you could find anything in this place. Usually it's just trash, like an abandoned shopping cart or an old and well-loved magazine. Sometimes real treasure has been brought here by the crows. And then an example of a one-time clock would be the crows steal something especially valuable and hide it in the woods. And then a repeat of the crows overhear something secret and won't stop repeating it.
That's cool.
And then
Can I just ask?
Mhm.
Old and well-loved magazine is an old and well-loved book. I wonder if it was intentional to use the word magazine, considering it's challenging to maintain. Go ahead.
So,
What?
I mean, so this is perhaps, you know, dating myself, but growing up, there used to be sort of stashes of magazines in the woods
Yep.
that had been retrieved from someone's father's collection.
Yep.
Yeah.
Under the bed.
It's sort of in a pre-internet world.
I was getting that
Yeah.
impression.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure it wasn't
that was
intentional.
sort of my
joke.
understanding.
Okay, all right, great. Okay,
It's
cool.
just an innocent little sentence, and you can attach whatever meaning you want
Exactly.
based on your own personal history and experiences.
Great way to go.
Delivered boneyard.
So the sort of gameplay rules of creating these together
Mhm.
is that everyone would have to create, obviously we won't do this in the next like 20-30 minutes, but
Yeah.
Everyone would have to create one of each category.
Oh, cool.
So you end up
Oh.
with a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
You end up with a quite detailed setting if you start factoring in all these things.
That's awesome.
And you're sort of supposed to like snake draft them.
Oh,
Um,
man,
and you can
wonderful.
you could like jump around between categories and stuff, but
So just an example, like the weirdness. If somebody is alone in the rain, very often they will just sort of vanish. So it leads people to traveling in pairs a lot.
mhm.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
As like, would that sort of be the kind of thing?
Let me.
I haven't scrolled down to what the weirdness examples are.
Yeah.
That sounds right, but
Yeah.
the weekend wizards.
Yeah. I mean, there's one called The Mist. Rising off the lake and along the foothills, the mist obscures and leads astray those who are caught out in it.
Mhm.
It misleads the
Oh, you can have fangirls.
Times, yes. If you look at the people section, I believe this actually was Axel's writing. There's the weekend wizards.
Oh, hilarious.
The 9 to 5 week is over. Now it's time for them to kick back with a case of beer, a chest of meats to smoke, and a collection of esoteric tomes. The weekend wizards are occultists, casual dabblers for the ego boost it gives them outside the boundaries of proper society.
Wow.
They don't know
I
enough
feel
to
called
shake
out.
the world, but they know enough to be dangerous, managing to occasionally stumble into something big.
I love the Witch fan club.
I love them.
It reminds me of those from Doctor Who. Those guys were just like big fans of the Doctor and had little like the red string corkboard.
Oh, yes.
They were like completely normies or whatever, but they were just really into the.
They got
following.
eaten. Was that it? They got eaten by some sort of guy.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And then the
The girl
whole
of a
this
paving
girl was
stone.
just a paving stone or whatever.
Yeah, I wasn't going to take the example that far, but yeah, just
Yeah.
like
I was just trying to remember
But yeah.
the episode. Yeah.
normie
Just the fan club.
fanboys and fangirls.
Yeah. So I mean that seems like a proper weird. So the reign of the lost,
Mm.
maybe.
Oh, yeah. That's a great name for it. Yes, totally.
Oh, and even though it's high tech, like I can see like there'd be like a little minor industry grown up of people that would just escort you places, like medieval
Ooh.
lantern bearers.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. Kid carrying a lantern would walk you home.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So give me your like one sentence description of what this is, Greg.
Often when people walk alone in the rain, they are just never seen again. It's not a murder. There's no evidence of a crime. They just walk into the rain and often will just never get to their destination. It's sort of a known thing about the territory we're in. And maybe sometimes witches are engaged to fetch people back or something.
Okay. And then the next part is that 2 other witches would ask you one question about your element.
Okay.
To sort of flesh things out. So if anyone has a question for Craig
I
about
do.
the rain.
You mentioned that people don't disappear when they walk in pairs.
Right.
Is there a special effect if twins navigate the area?
No.
Okay.
Proximity to one another.
All right. Well,
Mhm. You sound
Um,
disappointed.
No, it was like an improv. It's like an offer, right? Like, hey, you could do something with that. But no, it doesn't
Um,
have to be.
yeah, mine is, since we are in the high tech world, do you have to have a physical person with you, or could you have like someone on the phone
Ooh.
or a video
Yes.
camera drone following you?
I feel
Ooh.
like it's a physical person.
Mm.
Need that personal connection to somebody in proximity to you.
So
Because people have been like talking on the phone and then the signal just goes dead. And
Yeah,
nobody-
there's-
So yeah, do we have like video footage of someone walking down the street in the rain and
yeah,
then
there's
just
viral
disappearing?
videos.
and it
Yeah,
just-
somebody
and then it
did
just goes-
believe.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
walk in
Take a
mid
walk.
stride and just
Mhm.
I like that.
ooh. It's the reason we know it's real is because you have this shadow in the rain, right, where the water is not,
Oh.
and it hits the ground. It's like, no, not me. We're going.
So what could be 2 clocks of something that the rain either wants is perhaps a way to think about it,
Yeah.
or that like advance the rain's agenda, or
It
something
doesn't-
that the rain does when it's
I think it doesn't
called
happen
upon.
every time. So I think that there's a clock to the rain that when the clock gets filled, the next person to walk alone goes missing.
So we'll go like 0 out of 8. How about one time fact? Someone the witches know
Mm.
disappears.
And it's a low enough chance that sometimes people take a risk, right? But it's
Mhm.
high enough that it's known to be a risk. Yeah.
Um,
So a repeat one would be something that happens and then begins recurring, like with the crow. Oh no.
It can
Okay,
happen more than once.
right. Yeah. Okay.
mhm.
So in that case, yeah, there's some level of like, when you say like investigation into, like, was somebody abandoned in the rain, like everybody, everybody,
yeah.
right, and then every now and then there, it's on the
A
news.
car full of like goons creatures to a top. They kick someone out on their own and then they peel away, leaving them alone in the rain.
Yep.
Hoping they'll get snatched.
Yep.
That kind of thing.
Like,
Um,
it's how you get rid of
what-
bodies, right?
what
But
do you think about as a repeatable effect, like the rain becomes more frequent?
Oh, yeah.
oh,
sure.
yeah, the rainy season hits.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
The
The rains return.
season approaches.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Everybody starts figuring out their buddies, and we got to figure out commute. Ooh, that's a question for you, Craig. I know at least one, but does it apply to people driving, or is it just
Hmm.
walking in the rain?
You have to be touched by the rain.
Yeah, I think you have to be touched by the rain.
Cool. So yeah, great. That's as simple as that.
Mhm.
If someone has another idea,
Oh, dude, for places, you have the like mom and pop bookstore that is somehow still around,
ooh,
right? Because we're in high tech. Everybody's
Um,
got their tablets.
Yeah, no one uses
Ezreal's
books.
bookstore in
may I
Good
may I,
Omens.
may I suggest the last bookstore?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Great name. Yes.
Probably, actually the last bookstore in town. There's probably some others out here, but we don't care about those. They're not in our lake.
That's right.
No, I like that idea. We're in high tech world, right? Is literally the last bookstore.
Yeah, if we've gone to like
That's true.
Mass Effect future times when there literally
Yeah.
are not books,
Ooh,
everyone's got
Heck
data
yeah.
pads.
Way high tech.
I also was suggesting this is the name of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's a very it's
Yeah.
like self-aware sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
suggesting that it's literal and figurative. Like the name is there as a literal and figurative descriptor.
Well, the reason I was saying I don't know about it being literal is that way,
Mm.
like, you think of like grimoires and
Mhm.
witches and stuff like that. It would be cool that there's other books out there still, and there's still
Sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, there could be other books. There could be libraries, but the last bookstore is different,
Ooh, yeah. The
right?
last place where you could go to
the-
actually get buy
Buy
a book.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a
they-
difference
they-
between a comic book shop and a newsstand and this
yes,
place.
exactly. Yeah. Or I mean, there could be,
Thank you, Chris. I looked over and I was like, yeah, that's the exact line. There's a difference
could
between
be
having books available and, going to a comic book store or buying tomes and
Mhm.
big books. And yeah.
So, question: does everyone know about this bookstore, or is it more an exclusive clientele?
Oh yeah,
Ooh.
dude. It's like, oh, you know what? I tell you what it is. It's invite only.
ooh, yeah.
So you can't even find it if you haven't got an invite.
Nope.
Sort of
Oh,
like a
yeah.
golden ticket or a
Well,
mysterious
I'm
invitation.
thinking more of
Fancy.
your speakeasy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
knock on the door.
Speakeasy
It's,
bookstore is a fucking vibe.
you
Yeah.
knock on the
Holy
door,
shit.
the little thing slides open. You just get beady cyber eyes glaring at you.
Yeah.
What's the password? Samuel Clemens.
They changed the password to Ayn Rand one time as a joke, just to
The
No.
whole like mental vision I have of this world we've built is just very Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah.
Like you got the gritty city streets and the neon and the rain.
Yep.
Well, you
So
walk alone
I mean,
and
I think you just made a suggestion for like one of the elements that could be is the gritty city streets.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, would that be the land, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, like that's
Like-
definitely the level of things you could think about for like what these things are.
Yeah. Neon signs, billboards.
Holographic ads.
Yeah. And just the streets themselves
Oh.
are grimy.
So are there tiers to the city?
Oh, absolutely.
I
And
think
you got
so,
like
Is it
yes.
vertically stratified?
yeah, and air.
'Cause we got
You got
flying
your
cars and
sky
stuff like that.
bridges.
Mhm.
Oh, actually, and that makes. Oh yeah, you got these lovely exterior gardens up here in the upper levels, but the rain comes, and all of a sudden, whether you're up on that top level or down in the streets,
Well, if you're
that
down
rain-
lower, you would probably be safer.
If the rain
Also
doesn't
That's
true.
what I was
yeah.
thinking, is
That's
that like
true.
you have your stratified city, but the top level be the worst. Because
Yep.
the higher up you
Oh.
are, the more at risk you are from
Something under the bridge, something, the city she loves me.
Yes, yes.
Drew, did you have any idea about what a clock might be for the last bookstore?
Yeah. One time clock probably would be uh a I guess in the case of which is a grimoire or something of that nature has been like put up for sale. One of those things the last bookstore
Or
said they
auction or
never
something.
sell, and it's in a big auction, right?
Oh, I like that.
Mhm.
And different groups are competing for it.
Yep. And
Darkness
so
Avatars want it. Oh,
you
I
got
love
your
it.
you got your other witches. You've got the rich rub elbows with other folks. There's the inevitable heist. Yeah.
Can I suggest a flavor element for that? That the bookstore is neutral ground.
Oh
in
yeah.
a-
Well, nobody wants
yeah.
to piss off the owners of the last bookstore. Why would you do that?
and the owners don't pick sides.
Mm-mm. They don't need
Yeah.
to. Why would they? Yep.
Let's see. Trying to think of if I have a question for the gritty city streets. Is it gritty but charming? Or is it
Dystopian.
like dystopian danger?
That's one that I would, I guess, put out for discussion because I was thinking, I mean, not quite dystopian, just kind of grungy.
Yeah.
Like it's not charming. It's not a particularly pleasant place to be, but if you know the right places, you can find beauty here.
If you're from the streets, you feel comfortable, you feel safe because you know it. Those who come down probably don't. Right? So they talk about it being a terrible, terrible place, and it sounds like some Shadowrun, gutters kind of thing. But actually, if you're from here,
What perhaps in more of a witchy sort of vibe. The thought I had was because it's like a little more disorganized, because it's a little bit more not like architecturally developed and stuff like that, for the rich folks above, that there are places to find magic.
So I have a question. Is it like gang territory conflict kind of stuff, or do the people sort of band together to help one another?
I mean, considering this setting,
Probably the latter. I feel
like you always have some level of like groups that are gonna butt heads, though.
Sure, but I'm thinking, is it like I don't know if anyone's seen the Arcane?
Oh yeah,
totally. Where
absolutely.
Like, there's conflict and stuff going on, but there's still sort of an overarching we're in this together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've all seen Arcane, but we're not going to admit to having played League of Legends.
No, I'll admit it.
Yeah,
I'm just joking. I'm just kidding
have
about the whole.
Seen Mordekaiser?
Yeah, I know. We've all played. I'm just the joke
I hit
is
gold in season 3. That was my peak, and I never played rank ever again. They're probably on rank, I don't know, season fucking 20 now. It's been a long time.
It's got to be more than that because I played in like 2009.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, been some time. I got an idea for places.
What's that?
Oh, sorry, we're still talking about the gritty city streets.
Oh yeah, we need clocks for the city streets.
Huh. Season 14.
Really?
Yeah, it's not that much. Because it was in beta for a while. Anyways, how about like a new alleyway?
As the one-time thing, yeah.
I like that.
We get a new street. This shouldn't be here.
Okay, right. That's good.
Figuring out where it goes, what's on it.
It wasn't constructed.
Wasn't here yesterday.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
I think for the repeatable ones, you could just have like. I was thinking of like businesses opening and closing. The way that something changes more mundanely, because like that's gonna happen.
Oh, I was thinking it might be like a mystical sort of game.
I mean, it might be.
I mean,
it's not as
Hogwarts kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not as out there as there's a whole new street and neighborhood in my city that I know. It's just like, maybe the.
I think more like there was an alleyway here yesterday. Where did it go?
That's the one-time one.
Not the like consistent vibe.
Yeah, the ones that can repeat, I think, would be something more like a change, but a more subtle one.
Okay.
The burger shop is now a pizza place.
Yeah, your favorite clothing store is a coffee shop now.
Like
it's fine because
everyone in the community has one of those things that like your uncle has. That used to be.
Yeah.
It's every 3 months.
This place had the best chicken tenders. I like that. All right, Ralph, you want to serve us up with something?
Yeah, and I realize you might not have all seen my message. I'm going to have to leave in like a minute or two. Yes, I do have something. So you're talking about Blade Runner, And Batty's soliloquy at the end, so short and poignant, right? Tears and rain is a phrase that has resonated with me, and I mean with many other people. But we're talking about the rain and its possible mystical effects. I would offer that a place of note in this city is a tower of like ancient construction
Mm.
that somehow resists erosion through whatever means. And when you climb up into it, perhaps this could be one of the clocks. When you climb up into it at a certain point during the monsoons, if you are there during the witching hour, some of your memories will be washed away figuratively, like tears and rain.
Mm. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Trying to come up with like a concise name for it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna write the Tower of Memories.
Sure. Let's see.
Um, yeah,
The
but I mean,
Tower of Lost Hurts.
Lost Hurts.
Forget.
Sort of a
Spelled
Charlotte.
HERTZ.
An old radio tower.
Yeah. Or maybe it was used as a radio tower at one point.
Yeah, it could
It
be.
definitely predates that or something.
Char vibes from E3.
Yeah. But yeah, let's just really quickly. So we would go on doing this for a while. We would come up with a bunch of very cool things like this. All of these things would be essentially like when you're doing ritual magic, you have to tie it to a setting element, and completing your ritual advances the clock of that
The
setting
clock.
element.
Okay.
Cool.
As well as things you do in mischief and downtime. Essentially, you have to interact with at least one setting element in order to get the sort of thing where you reset all your abrasions and stress and stuff like that. You have to get up to mischief to get a reset of your jinx. So we would come up with about 20 of these, since we've got a group of 5 of us.
Fantastic.
'Cause, yeah, I'm a witch too. I get to come up with things too.
You're the head witch. Of course, you get to come up with things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll come up with a lot. And then past that, the last part is to talk about the darkness.
Ooh, yeah.
In which case, every witch would contribute a thing they wish to escape: a weakness, a doubt, a fear, or a guilt. And then the head witch sort of smushes them together to create 3 motifs that represent the darkness. And some of them are very good.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we can do a few more of these till we feel satisfied, and we can talk about the darkness and do a
I'm
little
good to
wrap
talk
up.
about the darkness. I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So give me your. I guess this is actually the point where you would go and create characters.
All right, because you would
and
set up your
think of that.
lake.
Set up the lake. You do your characters, and then you talk about what the like fears of that witch is and stuff like that.
There's a weirdness example that is the street that isn't.
The what is?
Oh yeah.
Under the weirdness, an example is the
Mhm.
street that isn't.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, yes, the darkness.
Mm-hmm. I like the rowdy satyrs.
They're just
Filled with
bros.
youthful vigor, the rambunctious satyrs around the bend formed their own clan to avoid ever growing up. They seek to remain eternal bachelors, free of responsibility and duty, and constantly goad one another to greater acts of reckless bravado. It can be charming and rakish, but one must never forget that this is all a game to them.
It's satyr jackass.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so some things about the darkness is that as the head witch, I am not playing the darkness. I'm merely doing things that the game requires the darkness to be able to do. Because it's important to remember that this is not adversarial, and we're creating things together. Um, and the darkness itself will end up with clocks, and it gets ticks over time, and then kind of like the fallout results, right, of a mission where you end up making some rolls, or if things go messier, then you might you know add on some extra ticks. And then the darkness actually spends those ticks to enact various things, like in enacting or advancing a ritual on its own behalf, or creating an avatar and stuff like that. And then as those avatars are active, then you'll end up having to like run across them, and that's where the sort of like mission part of the game comes into play. Of like, yeah, you absolutely are going to have times where you just are doing things that you want as part of your adventure, which is the name of the phase. But other times you might come across some things the darkness is doing, and might be a little bit more like serious time. But yeah, to create the darkness, we would all need a fear. So imagine very quickly that you've created a witch. So Ash, what would your Mothman be afraid of?
I feel like they'd probably most be afraid of. See, Mothman is like curiosity and seeking out and acquiring new knowledge and knowing things. The unwanted knowledge of like something horrible happening to someone you love.
Mm.
And like knowing that it's gonna be bad. The way they have the thing to like, based on their prophecies, to change a role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm afraid of having a premonition about someone I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Drew, what is your evoker afraid of?
The 9 to 5, right? Like being stuck in the job, especially in high tech cyber world. It's like this is all staid and normal, and the mainstream. It's like no. I want to do more than that. I want to break out from that quite explosively.
I like it. I'm afraid of being stuck in the job. And Craig.
I'm kind of waffling. One idea I had was be afraid of being placed in a situation where they have to break their word to somebody in order to keep their word to somebody else.
Especially for this year. Excuse me, shaman.
Shaman.
Mm-hmm.
Another idea I had was like for everything a season, that there's going to come a season, like a time, everything has to happen in its own time, and it's going to come a time when they're not going to be able to do something that they need to do. I don't know which one of those makes more sense.
I like the relationship one. I'm afraid of being caught in the middle, maybe.
Ooh, that's really good.
Having to make a choice of keeping word to someone to break something, but having to break someone else's word to do it. All those spinning plates, and sometimes you have to let one fall.
Yep.
I like that. So then I would take these fears as the head witch and sort of smush them together to create some motifs for the darkness. Come on. Where did?
Motifs.
Yeah, I
54.
feel like 54. Okay. Oh, it's before all the examples. Got it. Yeah, so I think let's see. I think some of the motifs might be darker shadows. Or how about dark alleys and darker shadows?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
It might be a motif of
Well, with the shaman and Mothman one, like weird, like especially with our high tech setting, right? Seeing nearly like mockery of folks you know, like if one of the loved ones or people that the shaman has made promises to, that kind of thing. But it's the nega version, the evil. It's like, hang on, was that so and so that I just saw on a flashing billboard? But it didn't look like them, right?
acquaintances in no. There's probably a phrase for this, but
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of
These like general themes for
how the darkness like operates and like how it
okay.
manifests.
Clues that it's around.
Yeah, clues that it's around. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Acquaintances in advertisements.
Yep.
Like the idea that the darkness might be like spying on you through ads,
Mm-hmm.
and your sort of witchly senses clue you in to by seeing, like for a brief second, seeing like one of your loved ones instead of like the model in the ad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that's kind of cool.
That kind of leads me to a sort of a Ghost in the Machine kind of vibe.
Ghost in the Shell kind of thing.
Yeah, like the
Uh,
darkness is in the high tech.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably. I mean, some of it. I mean, so like in a very like Sailor Moon kind of way, some of the like Avatar stuff for the darkness is very like the darkness was sort of like bequeaths some of its energy to the like I always think back to like the very first episode of Sailor Moon with like the evil jewelry shop, right?
Mm.
And so that's the sort of thing is like usually the avatars are gonna be like fairly normal person that just happens to be sort of have darkness in their heart and be doing something a little bit extra bad.
I had one idea for a thing of how you see them. The reflections in puddles being incorrect. We're in our dreary, rainy world.
Walking by a puddle that doesn't reflect right.
Yeah, it's reflecting the wrong things. Or maybe it doesn't have one at all.
Or things are looking out from it.
Yeah. I like the idea of things are reflecting the wrong. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because we've got puddles, but we also have big towers of glass and stuff like that.
Big glass windows.
Wrong reflections in puddles and glass. I like that. This
That's
is
really good.
Scary, but in a great way.
Yep.
And also like not me. I'm thinking not like egregiously wrong. Like
Right.
it's not just this doesn't show a building that is there, but it's like the wrong windows are lit up. Just like a little to the left, it makes you uncomfortable looking at it.
Yeah. Well, I think
It's got you've got that bad haircut you had for like that one time.
Yeah.
don't talk about that, Chris.
Yeah.
But if I
little
remember-
things like that. Or like, hey, I haven't had my hair dyed pink in like 6 months.
Kind of
Um,
like, sort of like Matrix glitch vibes. It's like a
Mhm.
warning that something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it actually mentions that like the worse it gets, the more obvious and
mhm.
more blatant the. So yeah, it's like, oh, it's a weird little reflection, huh? Versus, oh, there are a bunch of red
Several
glowing
people in
eyes.
there.
Right? Yeah. Like, oh, okay, no,
Yeah.
things are really bad now.
Yeah, the motifs manifest as omens, drawing the coven's attention and inviting them to thwart its actions. Yeah, the motif should be used narratively to indicate to players when something is spooky and darkness related. The more powerful the darkness becomes, the more obvious its motif should be. So, like, the advertisements one might be in like, in a little like ad you get in your mail one day, but then as it gets more escalated, it might be, like the giant
Jet Hollow.
times hologram billboard is suddenly like your grandma. You're just like, wait, hold on. Man, this seems cool. I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Just
We were
like,
gonna
I
do this,
wanna
and I'm like,
fucking
I
know
want to
now.
play this now. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah. So other than actually creating characters and playing, that's pretty much all that would go into a game of Witchlake. Obviously, there's a bunch of this playtest that we did not cover here today, but I will tell you that I've gone through almost all of it in a thread over on the Mage the Awakening podcast, Mage the Awakening Discord, community Discord. There's a thread over there. Songbird reads, and invite you to go check that out. It's also just another great Discord. So if you're part of our Discord and you're looking for even more people to talk about esoteric bullshit and tabletop games and how they interact, that's a great place to do it. And
One little thing I want to throw in here because it's the thing that stood out to me as I was scrolling through. Witchlake has an end. It has the Cal end, which is you guys get together, confront the darkness. End of your story. So it doesn't drag out. Since we referenced it a couple times, the Masks game that we ran, for instance, it kept going. It was like we probably could have, and because we went, we were doing stuff in a mall, then we ended up in space.
True.
And so
I
it's
like Space Adventure.
oh, it was terrific. But
in my defense, they put out a new book about it
yeah.
right as we finished the arc, and I was like, well.
I mean,
I
we
had
have to
been thinking
meet
about
my
wrapping this game
people.
up.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
We have
We
to
had-
go to space.
Yeah. It was very, very good.
our buddy Mark got to invent the
Space
Intergalactic
WWE.
Space WWE.
Yep. Was that before or after
Um,
we fucked around with time?
It was all
After.
right up there.
Yeah,
it was
the
after that
time was before.
Yep.
That was another of my misadventures in overplanning these as a DM.
we
Because
did kind of
I
shoot you in
knew-
the foot.
I knew that we were going to go to, as part of the sort of arc, 7 planets. I wrote 23 planets.
Chris.
The ideas flow sometimes. These things happen.
Well, now you have backup planets for other uses.
Exactly. But anyways, thank you all for joining us once again as we sort of had a little misadventure into some game reaction content.
Sure.
Some make believe of make believe. And like I said, this game's called Witchlake. I'm sure we'll talk about it some more on the Discord. We'll probably when this video goes up, we'll maybe create a little thread about it and talk about it with Axel and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, having read this, we can try and organize something like that. And so that's just another way for me to say, hey, if you want to come talk to us about our content and our pets and our, all the mage content we do and past shows and all that kind of thing, the link for our Discord is yeetinto.space. And if you want us to keep supporting us on Patreon, or if you'd like to join us and support for the first time, you can check out staylucky.club for a link to that. As always, stay magical.